for the biggest fish, the hottest bites. This week, here on In-Depth Outdoors.
Got it. Look at that. Wow, is that an incredible fish? Got him. Whoa, this is an absolute monster.
Headed to the best ice fisheries from across the ice belt. We'll fish longer, punch more holes, and go further off the beaten path in search of the hottest bites on ice.
Oh, look at that. What a specimen. Look at the size of that. Look at that fish. That is a monster flake.
This is In-Depth Outdoors.
Good morning, everyone. James Holst here with In-Depth Outdoors. Third week of January, absolutely bitterly cold. We finally got ourselves a right proper winter cold snap. We're gonna be fishing today with Paul Delaney, Late Ice Guide Service. And what we're trying to do is get after some whitefish today. We really don't have any idea what to expect. Paul's only been able to get out here and just make sure we've got enough safe ice to get out to the location we've needed to fish. So everything today is gonna be exploratory, see what we can find. We're after whitefish. It's a great species, fantastic eating. Very often when you get on these fish, you're gonna get them in big numbers. They fight real good on light tackle. And also when we're out here fishing the bay, anytime we're out here, we love the underwater footage. 40, 45 foot visibility out here on the outer bay, from Sturgeon Bay North all the way up to the peninsula of Door County. It's just fantastic walleye, white fishing, trout, and northern pike. We're gonna get some fantastic underwater footage and hopefully some great whitefish on the ice. And I need to get in the otter before I freeze to death.
Two of them working right around me right now, James.
I haven't seen a fish.
Here he comes. Got him. I got that one. The one started to look a little bit active and the other one came right in and grabbed it. Here he comes. There we go. I had one fish come in. He was kind of doing like the other one. This one just kind of came from the distance, came, beelined right up, grabbed it. This one's a little bit small here. I think we'll put this one back. We're going to keep some of the better sized fish here today. Let me just kind of show you this rig that we're using here. So I've got a gold slender spoon on the bottom here. And what I'm doing is I'm allowing that bait to hit the bottom. And I'm just bouncing it up, you know, just a couple of inches off the bottom, getting their attention. What that's doing is creating little tufts of puffs in the sand. And what they really think that is a goby. Just above this, I have another hook that's just above that. Fish behavior down there is really inactive. They're just real curious. They're real slow. They won't take that spoon as much as they are on our on our top little fly there. So it's a great way to present your baits here for these whitefish is to run a double rig like that. You've got something that's a little bit more active, and then you've got more of a neutral bait above them.
I have got an absolute herd of these whitefish down there, and it just seems like the more you pound the spoon on the bottom, the more excited they get. And what happens is you stir up the bottom so much you lose sight of that little jig up top. Oh, there he is. Got him.
Got one, James?
That fish has come vectoring in. Of course, you know, with that visibility, they can see these spoons fall from just a mile away. The spoon hit the bottom, kicked up that dust cloud, and he didn't take the spoon. He went after that little ratso body. It's a little bit better fish. Not a giant by any means, but fallen victim to that little natural colored shrimpo. You know, you got to figure these fish have made a living, so to speak, off of eating just tiny little bugs and invertebrates. They got a mouth that would eat a small minnow if they could get their mouth on it, but for the most part, these guys are rooting around, eating bugs or anything else they can find that's crawling around down there on the bottom. We'll let him go. There's more where that comes from. This guy's just a juvenile. Hopefully later on we can get into some fish that are bigger and more aggressive. And that's how that ratso works. You can kind of see there, I'm just letting it slide up and down the line. Nothing fancy there. Those fish will come in and, you know, if you don't have that little jig there, if you tie a swivel in your line to keep the line twist down on the spoon, they'll actually come in and hit that swivel. And that just shows you that these fish are looking for anything to come up off that bottom. Bug, larva, you know, anything small enough to get in their mouth. They're gonna just gulp on it, see if they can get their lips around it. If it feels right, moves right, they're probably gonna eat it. So you know, if the fish are eating swivels, they're not keying on any one type of food item down there. They're just completely opportunistic.
Here I just picked up a goby off the bottom, and with the introduction of the gobies now into the Great Lakes, many different species have adapted to eating them including the whitefish, and it's a main forage for these fish right now. And if we clean some of the fish, in their stomachs are just full of gobies. This is a little bit larger than what they're eating, but this shows exactly what they are. So, you know, something of that color, the golds, the browns, those are the kind of colors that we try to use using our spoons and different baits, just to try to resemble the same color that these creatures are.
The piece of equipment we're using today to catch these whitefish is the Marcum LX9, and it's worth mentioning for a very simple reason. The Marcum LX9 is the first piece of ice electronics, or any electronics for that matter, that can display underwater video and sonar at the same time. What really sets the Marcum apart, it's got some features that nothing else can touch. Press the button, go into view mode. Let's go back to sonar. We were watching our bait with the underwater camera. Now we're using sonar. It's the circular dial that everybody's familiar with from the mechanical flashers. And we've got our vertical zoom here on the left-hand side. I can also do this cool thing called heads up. That's a really cool option that allows me to overlay sonar and still see the underwater video in the background. If you see over there on the right-hand side, there's my jig bouncing up and down. Or you can do split screen. So you've got your sonar, those are the two vertical views on your right-hand side, and you've got your underwater camera on your left. Today, the underwater camera feature of this LX9 is making all the difference in the world with our catch rate. These fish are so finicky. I mean, you're seeing it there in the underwater footage, and of course we're able to actually record that underwater footage, and that's another one of the great features about the system is that it has a built-in DVR. So when we're showing you this footage of what these fish are doing and how they're reacting to our baits, it's actually recorded right in the Marcum LX9. All that footage is saved to this little SD card that plugs into the back of the machine. If you want to share it with buddies, save it to your computer, just pull up that chip, plug it in your computer, and import the files. It's really that easy. One unit that can do all those things. It's a pretty impressive feature package. And it's making catching these whitefish a heck of a lot easier. Back to camera we go.
This winter, start seeing red. Visit MarcumTech.com and this winter, start seeing red.
Just won't eat it. He keeps circling that thing. It's really neat watching those fish on the camera there. Come on, there he is. Got him, got him, got him. Another one of those that just keeps circling. They're just being real picky here today and circle around, they circle around. And when they're taking it, we're just barely seeing them open their lips or just barely touching those baits. Feels like a decent one. You know, we went a period there where we weren't seeing a lot of, there he is, yep. We weren't seeing a lot of fish. Now we're starting to see some more of them, and they're looking a little bit more active. You can really tell their attitudes down there. You can tell by their fins. When they're real lethargic and they're not that active, they're just slowly swimming. Their pectoral fins aren't coming out, their tail's not kicking. Now we're starting to notice a little bit more in activity with how they're swimming, more fish in the packs. So hopefully here in the next little while here we start to see a little bit more action. Bring a meal or two home here today. We're using both the camera today and the flasher, but there's no question today that the camera has definitely been the tool that's benefited for us the most because of how finicky these fish are, the depth of water that we have, and we have a current that's blowing through here. So having that bow in our line, we really can't detect these light bites. So being able to see those fish pick up the baits is absolutely really important in today's bite.
I mean, we've just got just the classic, just crazy cat and mouse game here. I've got two fish on the LX9. One's working the top, one's working the bottom. Jigfish, got him. That little cat and mouse game just would not end. I worked him up above the camera. I had one after the spoon, one after the jig, dropped it back down, started pounding that spoon on the bottom, and that really seems to have such a strong triggering effect with these fish. That pounding spoon must just elicit something in their feeding that triggers them to eat just about anything that's around the area. Feels like a solid fish, really. Where are you at? Here he is. There we go. Not a bad guy. You know, we've caught quite a few fish today. That seems to be right in the wheelhouse of average. You know, these fish, great eating as they are, they're so much fun to try to catch using that underwater camera like that. You know, trying to do that when you've got multiple fish, multiple baits in the water, and then multiple fish chasing multiple baits, trying to do that with a flasher, it's going to be pretty hard to do. It's going to be hard to know what's what in the water column. Can't beat seeing it. That's the result. I'm going home with fresh fish tonight. I'll tell you what, baked whitefish, very, very good indeed. That's what I'm hoping for. Nice meal of baked whitefish. And I need some fresh bait. Those fish were aggressive. They were chasing all over the place. I mean, just thinking back to what that looked like on the LX9, it was like a pair of bogeys just chasing spoon and jig up and down. Neither one could really decide which one they wanted. Took a little bit to hook up. I think I got the bigger of the two though, so I'll take what I got. How's it looking over there for you, Paul?
I keep getting them coming through.
They're still not exactly suicidal, are they?
No, you know, some of them are a little bit slower. Some of them show a little more promise. We just got to work them.
I like it when they come through in pairs and triples. They seem to kind of get each other worked up.
Absolutely. The more fish there are, the better the chances of hooking up.
Earlier you said you had a school of about, what, a dozen that went through?
Yeah, a couple packs like that.
I've not seen that yet, which is crazy because, you know, the visibility is so good. They must have just come in from a different angle because I never did see that group. You know, you're only 20 feet away. I guarantee if I turn my camera, I can see your underwater camera.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul?
Yeah.
Right before I caught that fish, I had something crawling across the bottom. What looked like a salamander, and he hit my bait, and it was a mud puppy. I didn't set the hook,
Yeah.
but I was able to raise him about 3-4 feet up off the bottom, and then he'd let go of the hook and he'd drop back to the bottom. Did that 2 or 3 different times. I think he finally took a hint and split, but probably one of the more peculiar things I've seen crawling across the bottom of a lake on one of these cameras.
Well, let's just keep it to the whitefish today. How about that?
Yeah, I don't need to catch another one of those. Paul, you stay pretty busy doing this with clients all winter long?
Oh, we do. You know, it takes a while to get the safe ice out here into the deeper water, but once we can get out here, yeah, this fishery goes right throughout the whole winter here. It's not one of those fisheries where you have to be here early ice or you got a small window where they're going to go. No, the whitefish will go right through the whole season here, and you know, they're just a real sporty fish. There's big numbers of them. They're fun to catch in the deep water. Great table fare, and they provide good, consistent action.
Well, I can definitely see why your clients want to come do this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know, it's not one of those fisheries where you have to work all day long for 2 or 3 bites. Keeps you pretty busy.
Well, now, when you get it further into February and March, you kind of do walleyes morning and evening and then whitefish during the day, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do the combo trips. You know, the walleyes will focus. Kind of got short windows with the walleyes with being early in the morning and then late in the evening. But the whitefish provide great action through the daytime, so we can keep the rods bending pretty much throughout the day.
At Otter Outdoors, we're committed to building a tougher, stronger, smarter line of ice shelters. Tougher is our roto-molded sleds, known for their legendary strength and durability. Stronger is our anodized square tube frame, oversized and substantially stronger than round tubing. Smarter is our fully sewn and quilted insulated Pro Series and Wild Series thermal shells, and a complete line of smarter accessories. This winter, let Otter Outdoors unleash the tougher, stronger, smarter ice angler in you.
Mind if I fish with you guys?
No, but if you're using custom jigs and spins lures, you better get a bigger bucket.
With Custom Jigs and Spins new tungsten heavy metal jigs, you'll get down to the big ones quickly and catch more and bigger fish. These jigs have been designed by world-renowned Croatian ice fisherman Čekaj Matt.
Čekaj #1 with Čekaj Lures Fishing. Go Čekaj, go!
So when you use Custom Jigs and Spins, try the new tungsten heavy metal ice jigs.
Custom jigs and spins, the hottest bait below the ice.
Here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. Got him, James. Hooked up. It was one of those that just kept doing the circles, you know, but he had the attitude. He looked right. So I just kept it right there, and he came by, and, you know, his mouth just opened up, and on he is. Well, I've learned a lot from these fish here today. Really have noticed when we see the groups of fish that our chances of getting hooked up are much greater as opposed to the single 1 and 2 fish. The single guys come through, their fins really aren't moving. They're not looking that happy. You get the groups, and one of them will commit. Here you go, guy. See if I can get him up here. There we are. Okay, get him off of there. Another pretty whitefish, and they've all been running around this size. We've caught a couple smaller ones, We've seen some bigger ones on the camera, but this has been the average fish, which is a nice fish. You know, great fish. You get good fillet out of those and make for a real good meal. So this one's going to stick around with us. We'll fillet a few of these up here in a little while.
Did you get one on that fly again, Paul?
Yeah, there's been no question about that, James. It's I think as a matter of fact, all of my fish have come on that upper bait today, but when they come in, they're not honing in on that upper bait. It's the spoon that's attracting them. It's a spoon that keeps their attention there. And they go around and they look and they go around and they look and they don't really look at that upper bait. But eventually, that's the one they commit to. I can't get them to eat that spoon, but by all means, that's the one that's attracting them.
That would be your classic bait and switch.
That's right, yeah.
I don't care how I catch them, as long as I catch them.
We'll take them any way they want to go.
So now tell me about what these fish will do. You know, once this high pressure system gets through, obviously it's just severe cold front right now. How often are you having 30, 40, 50 fish days? Is that kind of common?
Oh, that's very common. This is very much so uncommon.
Gotcha.
You know, we're seeing a lot of fish here today, and they're just so lethargic. I mean, we've got them in the zone. We've got their attention on the baits. They just are not showing any kind of excitement to them at all. And you know, generally, if we can get them in that close, I mean, they're pretty much commit.
Gotcha. So normally they just come in, pretty much hit the spoon.
Oh, absolutely. When they come in there, they usually feed. And that doesn't mean that all of them come in there. We get some that you see in the distance. They're just going by, they're cruising, they're paying no attention to it. But when they turn on those baits and they come in there, generally those are fish that are going to commit there.
I mean, I've had curious fish, I've had interested fish, but I haven't had anything I'd call aggressive.
Oh, not at all.
You know, except for my mud puppy. He would not quit.
We don't want that mud puppy, no. The fish have been here today. They're just, you know, it's 2 degrees out there. It's tough on everything. And, you know, I think as we come out of this cold weather here in a few days and the weather starts to moderate, temperature comes up again, these fish will really start going again.
Call me cold front.
Call me cold front.
Of course, I didn't bring the cold front. It was already here.
It was here, that's right. We're just in the middle of it, that's all. Of course, there's days where they're biting a lot less, and some days you just have to fish harder and smarter for less.
I don't care how good you are, Paul, you cannot catch fish on the couch.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
Got him. All right. You know, this is just absolutely mind-numbing, watching these fish just circle and nibble and nip and false start. They come up, they put their nose right on it. It looks like they're going to inhale it, and they just put the air brakes on, they back up. I got this one on the jig. I'll just bet the farm that what they're doing is they're coming in, they're attracted to that spoon, and it's that little jig that seals the deal. There we go. Not a big guy. But you know what? If you love fishing with your camera, this is so much fun. I mean, there are so few bodies of water that I've ever been to that have this type of water clarity. I can see my spoon from above the water here, 44 feet of water. Easily see it. I can't tell you that I can see the little jig down there above the spoon, but the spoon, absolutely no problem. So what we're doing here is we've just pretty much gone now completely to underwater camera. You can see a greater distance, and you can really see how these fish are reacting. If you love to fish visually like that, this is just one of the most fun bites. Now at the same time, when these fish are lethargic like they are right now, it can just drive you nuts seeing all the times these fish will false start and almost take the bait. This one here was a prime example. He's been down there just absolutely driving me bananas for the better part of 2-3 minutes. But in the end, I win. He's coming home with me. It's a decent whitefish, probably towards the bottom end of what we're going to want to keep today. You know, 22, 23, 24 inch whitefish, not uncommon whatsoever out here. This guy's probably about that 17, 18 inch range. Going to make a very good eater. And do not doubt the table fare of this fish. There's a reason that you see these in all the supermarkets. This is a wonderfully white meat fish, very sweet, equal to, if not better than even the walleye. I know that's heresy for all of us guys from Minnesota, but this is a good eating fish.
Since 1946, StrikeMaster has held to a simple idea. If you build an auger that makes less work out of drilling holes, people will have more fun ice fishing. StrikeMaster's 2-stroke solo series provides unmatched cutting speed in a lightweight design. New this winter, StrikeMaster unveils their Honda-powered 4-stroke auger. The Honda 35cc Light tears up the ice with reliable Honda power. StrikeMaster Ice Augers. Visit us online today to find the StrikeMaster auger that's right for you.
Hello, I'm Dave Markworth. I'd like to introduce you to the Skeeter Boat Center in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. At the Skeeter Boat Center, we carry the Midwest's largest selection of Skeeter fishing boats. all at prices you can afford. And we offer test drives on most models in stock. Our highly trained staff will provide you the personalized service that you deserve. So check us out at SkeeterBoatCenter.com, where our goal is to help you have fun fishing.
It's like he wants that thing so bad, when he fails to pull the trigger and eat it off the bottom, he actually goes and got him. Yeah! That's camera fishing at its best. I got another one on the spoon. There's definitely a strategy to this presentation. What you want is for that spoon to find kind of a soft spot between these clumps of rock. And then you're really just rattling that spoon on the bottom, and you want to kick up as much silt as possible. It just seems to be like a beacon for these fish. When you really get a good cloud of that silt kicked up, that's when these fish just seem to come in big numbers. You know, and this is another fish on the spoon, and I'm really starting to get a feel for what these fish want and how to trigger these fish on these spoons versus that small fly. And what we're doing is we're dropping that spoon to the bottom and we're just twitching it. We're trying to create the biggest silt billow possible. And that just seems to be a beacon for these fish. And they're so used to swimming in, seeing that kind of disturbance on the bottom and finding something to eat. Okay, here we go. You know, I know what they're doing. They're coming in and they're keying on that waxworm on that treble hook of the spoon. They're not really interested in the spoon so much as they are the larva there impaled on the hooks. But to me as a fisherman, I really don't care. All I want to do is get a hook in his mouth. So it's a really interesting technique. Stirring up the bottom, getting those fish to come in, you're simulating something that they're so used to doing down there when they're feeding. This is another one that we're going to put on the ice. He will eat just great. Great table fare. Can't stress that enough. You know, for all the guys that love catching walleyes because they're good on the table, these fish are fantastic. And of course, you know, the limits out here are very generous. A guy can come out here, catch 10 apiece. You're going to go home with a lot of nice food for the table, and they are a blast to catch. All right, down on the ice with you, buddy.
There we go, got another one. This is by far the most aggressive fish that I've had here all day. This fish just came in, just started doing donuts all over my spoon on the bottom, kicking up sand, and just picked it right up. But this one surely wanted that spoon. There we go. There we go. There we go. But boy, was he aggressive. Just came in, just got all squirrely around that bait. I knew for a fact he was gonna pick it up. I just dropped it down in the sand and boom, he picked it right up. Okay. So yeah, real aggressive fish there, but it goes to show how effective both that double rig is, where you've got more of an aggressive spoon banging on the bottom and a little bit more subtle presentation above it. Obviously, most of our fish have been coming on that more subtle bait, but this one came in with the right attitude and he wanted that spoon. So by having both presentations there, you really up your odds at catching more fish. Go ahead and get this one back in.
Well, one of the good things about this deep freeze that has arrived here in the upper Midwest is we finally get to come out here and fish with Paul Delaney. We had a great bite today on the whitefish. I enjoyed every minute of it. Getting to see those fish come in, chase baits on the underwater camera was just an absolute thrill. Loved it.
It is. The camera just makes it so fun, particularly today with the bite being as finesse as they were and as subtle as bites. It was everything. You know, and the clear water just makes that so much nicer too. Being able to see those fish come from a distance, seeing their behavior, you can almost see which ones are going to bite and which ones aren't going to bite, you know?
Well, you know, guys are always asking, should I get an underwater camera or a flasher? And of course, we showed you the LX9 today. That's the combination sonar underwater camera on one unit, so you don't have to choose anymore. You know, that said, anybody that's looking to get out on one of these whitefish trips or to fish walleyes, pike, out here in Door County, you go as far south as Sturgeon Bay, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Fish the whole peninsula. Yeah.
I cannot give a more ringing endorsement for a human being than I can for Paul Delaney. Every time we come out here, just love fishing with him. Always catch fish and have a heck of a good time.
Well, I can't thank you enough. It's my pleasure. Another great experience, whether we're chasing bass, walleyes, or whitefish. It's always fun.
Well, the plan is, now that you've got good ice and it looks like it's going to be here till, you know, till spring, you're actually going to get a proper ice fishing year this year. We'll be back in March if you'll have us.
We're going to be after the walleyes next time.
Sounds real good.
You got it.
I really look forward to the big walleyes. Had a blast on the whitefish though. I'd come back and do this again any day. So from Paul and I, everybody there at home, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Let's roll.
You got it. Appreciate it. All right.
For
more info on the latest fish reports, gear recommendations, and hottest techniques, connect with us online at indepthoutdoors.com or follow us on Facebook at In Depth Outdoors. And if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to let our sponsors know.